Hey folks, K5YVY, thank you for coming to the channel or welcome back. You may have seen my previous video on these push to talk over cellular POC radios. These are not traditional RF radios. These are internet only or cellular internet, whichever way. You can put cellular SIM cards in it like you would your telephone, and it would pick up signals on the cellular network, of course. Or you can do like me and pay nothing because you already have Wi-Fi at the house, or you got a Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone or whatever it may be. So I use it on Wi-Fi. Well, what do you use this for if you can't talk radio to radio RF wise like we do in ham radio all the time? I can't put a repeater in here and key up and talk to the repeater. So I have to do something else. I have to engineer this thing a little bit, right? So that's what we're going to do. I am just going to show you, there's not a lot on here. When you get this particular radio, it's just got some basic little settings and that's about it. But look what I've done there. Oh, that's update. There's a little app that I could show the screen on the computer if I wanted to. And this is what I was really trying to get after, Zello, because if you'll look at POC radios online, you'll see that most of them say works with Zello or comes with Zello. Zello, if you're not familiar, is a two-way communication application that uses internet to communicate. A lot of people use it with their cell phones and such. You can create rooms or talk to individuals one-on-one. Let me show you what I've got in Zello doing.
Repeater tone 88.5. The time is 5 p.m.
That was my repeater coming through an internet radio. So we're going to go over here, and this is a computer that you was seeing before I changed cameras running behind me on the TV. This is a PC that I have just to run some radio stuff. That's all it does. It's lonely little life. But right here in between my avatar's eyes, you'll see a Zello application. This Zello application that I just took off the screen is Zello's radio gateway. Now, I'm going to include information in the description. I'm going to try to find you the link to this because Zello now includes the gateway only in their work subscription-based services. So you have to pay for it. Fortunately, I was able to find an old copy of Zello Radio Gateway, or really Zello's. That's a whole nother video on how to get Zello turned into a radio gateway. But you see it here, radio gateway, transmit information and receive information. So this is hooked up a lot like Echolink node that you'd be running off your computer hooked to an actual radio. When I have my Echolink active, then if you connect to my Echolink node and hit transmit on your cell phone or your computer, it's going to key up my 2-meter radio that I have connected to that PC and transmit your signal out on RF through my antenna. And anything my antenna receives that's connected to that radio, you will hear back through Echolink. And that is the same thing that Zello is doing with their radio gateway software. The only downside to this is you don't really want to make your Zello gateway public, because and then it's all up to you, the control operator of the station, to validate people that's actually got ham radio license or not. So this is why I'm not really advertising my Zello room to everybody, because it is locked down. It's private to where you can't join it. And I've done this several years ago. I played around with this Zello radio gateway and I was letting folks on it. They had to email me their request with their call sign and trying to validate folks that you didn't know become a hassle. So, but this is something that is useful for you to use personally. So what do I use it for? Well, you heard a while ago that my radio was receiving the repeater. So I can go in, whoop, open up Zello, it will come up and it will log in. And I am in my room now, and I push to talk. K5YVY. So you heard the ka-chunk come back. If you notice down there in the bottom of the screen, you had an indication that it was transmitting, and then you had an indication that it was receiving. So two-way communications. Now I could put that 2-meter radio that I have, I could put it on any 2-meter frequency I wanted to. I can put it over on 5.2, talk to the locals. What is this useful for? This is useful because I have no radios in the house, and a handheld radio doesn't get out very well, and I no longer have a working crossband repeat radio in the shack. So now I've got an internet-based radio. Yes, I could use my cell phone, but this still makes you think you're using a real radio. So I can just key up and talk pretty much out of my shack, but inside the house, off on vacation, at the office at work, no matter where I'm at in the world, as long as I got internet connection. So that's what I like about it. Something else I like about it. So what I really enjoyed using this handheld radio for, I call it a handheld radio. I mean, this handheld internet device, there we go, is APRS Droid. That's what I really enjoyed. This particular model has GPS built into it. So APRS Droid, I can open up and I can start sending and tracking my location. And what that does is, yes, it's not putting out an RF signal to a APRS gateway or digital repeater, but it is sending it online to APRS 5, getting on the net or on the map. This is a screenshot of my APRS trail that I've done playing around and testing the capabilities of this thing with it tethered to my cell phone. Yes, I could use my cell phone, but I use an iOS device and I don't have APRS Droid on my cell phone. So I got it on this. It's just another option. I don't tie my cell phone up or use my cell phone battery so much. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm using the handheld for. How did I do it? Because these radios from this particular company, the way they set it up, they say it's optional for the Google Play Store and Zello. It didn't come with those. So I couldn't use the radio to add these apps natively. I had to go and use a application called APK Installer. So I had to go use a application that I finally found. It seems like I tried 500 different programs and different methods of trying to SSH into the Android or something. But finally, this APK installer right here was the trick. Let me hook this up to a USB-C cable. I have no fingernails. So once you get your Android device connected by USB cable, you can open up the APK installer application and it will come up, scan for Android devices, and you see up here that it found at the top TID-728 or TID-728. You could also click on devices. If it detected more than one, then it would show up here. You would just select your device that you're looking for. It shows you the version it's running on, and you click OK. From here, you could right click in the open spot or hit tools. Either way, open APK file. You will select an APK file. We'll select APRS Droid, which I had downloaded from the internet, and it shows you the information. It is 2.59 megabytes. I hit the check mark and go down here and click install. If your device has an SD card installed, you can prefer installation on the SD card first. Otherwise, it will save it to the internal memory. You are limited by the amount of memory that's in these radios. So when it's done, there you go. You got the application, it shows up on here. And if you want to delete that application because maybe it wasn't working right or whatever, you just don't want it, you just want to try it, whatever, I could go in here into the settings of the radio internet device and delete it myself manually through the app manager. But like I said, there was no way for me to install. But you can also go to App Manager on this and pick out what you want to delete. You would just highlight it and click uninstall. Be careful doing that. Make sure you got the right thing, because you may actually delete a vital service maybe, because there's a lot of stuff that shows up. So there's got to be some system files or apps in there. All right, that's how I use this little handheld internet device, ham radio adjacent, and how I can actually talk ham radio, K5YVY. That's just neat, knowing this isn't like a real radio. So anyway, I'll do another video coming up next for my release on the mobile unit, because it has a touch screen. So there's a few more things that I can do with it. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for coming by the video 73.